Greetings everyone, my name is Tony Holowitz, and in this video I want to talk to you about the workflow or some of the ways I do things when I'm using Act Premium Cloud in my day-to-day business. Now right now I'm using a sample database, and the contact you see on the screen has my contact information. So let me create a scenario for you. Let's say as a matter of practice you on a regular basis call either your clients or the prospects in your database. Well, as you're making those phone calls, what do you do? What are you doing while the phone's ringing? What do you do after the call is completed? What are some of the steps I go through, and why are they important? Well, let me illustrate something. Imagine I'm about to call this person, Tony Holowitz. I pick up the phone and I call the phone number. As the phone is ringing, I know first one of two things is going to happen. Either I'm going to speak to the person or I'm going to leave a message. Two things. It's rare when I don't get one of those two things happening. So, what am I going to do while the phone's ringing? Now, my experience has been generally it can be anywhere from 10 seconds to 60 seconds before something happens. Either I leave a voicemail or I get the person on the phone. So what do I do while I'm waiting for that to happen? Let me illustrate it. So I just dialed the phone number and I'm in a holding pattern. I'm waiting for something to happen. But while that's occurring, this is what I do. First, I will come up here and I will grab the contact's name by selecting it with my mouse. The next thing I'm going to do, and this is a feature of Microsoft Edge, and Edge is the browser I prefer for Act Premium Cloud. I'm going to right click and I'm going to draw your attention down here to where it says Search in Sidebar for Tony Holowitz. I'm going to click on that. Now, here it did a search for me. It found some information. If you go down a little bit, you'll see it actually found my LinkedIn profile. So what I'm doing while the phone's ringing is I'm doing a little research just to see what I can find out about this person, Tony Holowitz. So let's say I want to take a picture of Tony and put Tony in my layout. I'm going to come over here to the right. I'm going to right click on this LinkedIn photo and I'm going to go save image as. I'm going to save it. I'm going to type in TH 2023. I'm going to press save. And now I've taken this image that's on the LinkedIn profile for Tony Holowitz and I have taken this and saved it. The next step I'm going to do, and again the phone's still ringing, is I'm going to come up here and I'm going to click on this little orange box. Now I put an orange picture or graphic in there just so it would stand out for this training. Normally it would be white or gray, but I'm going to click on Choose File. I'm going to navigate to the folder where I put that picture. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to click Open. I'm going to click OK. And now I've taken my picture and put it in here so I have a frame of reference. I can put a name with a person. So I've taken the picture, it's in there. Now it seems a little more real to me. Now, granted, those are in my younger days, but that's okay. Next thing I'm going to do is over here, there's some information about this person, Tony Holowitz. I'm going to literally take some of this text right here. I selected it. Now I'm going to click and hold, and I'm going to drag it here to this memo field. What I just did is I dragged it in here for future reference. So in other words, I grabbed some information right off the web right here, and I'm just dragging it over and plopping it in there. Okay. So now I'm finding out all this information about Tony Holowitz, and I've put it in this memo field. Now, why is this relevant? Now the person on the other end hasn't even picked up yet. So now what I've done is I've got this information in here. I did a little research. I'm learning about the prospect named Tony Holowitz. I have information that I've saved for future reference. So when I come back to him, maybe in 6 months, he sticks out to me a little bit more because I've put a face with a name. I've gathered information. But at this point, the voicemail picks up and I end up leaving a message. So what do I do next? Well, I'm going to come up here and I'm going to click on the history button right here. And when I click on the history button, this box will pop up. Now, by default, behind the scenes, what I typically do is I'll change the setting so it's always call completed by default. And at this point, I don't even really care that I put any information in here, because typically the only thing I want to do is this. I want to record the date that I made this call. So when I come down and click save, I want to draw your attention to this field right here, the call reach field. Now sometimes you have to refresh the screen to see this date show up. So to refresh the screen, I'm going to press the F5 key, Frank 5, across the top of my keyboard. And you'll notice that what it did is it put today's date in that field. So now I created a record of the date I called. And also the next step is I'm going to go up and send this person an email, because I have pre-written an email for when I leave a message. Over here is a tool that I use that I really love called shared email templates. Definitely ask me about that. I'm going to come up here. I've pre-written a template. I'm going to press, I typed in LM to do a search for the template I want. That is the shortcut I know I put in that template for left message. Here is the email. I'm going to click on this. It's going to fill in the subject line, the body, and it's just a quick message. So now after I left the person a telephone message, I'm going to send this person an email. Now I could change this message, but I want to draw your attention to something else I use and I'm a big fan of. That is a tool called Calendly. So down below here are some times that people can schedule with me. Typically what I would do in some of the emails I send out will actually have a link in it to schedule a quick 5 to 15 minute phone call right up here in the body. It's right down here now, but they can click on that to schedule a time to speak to me. And I'm going to hit send, and that email is going to go out. Now, what will typically happen, however, I have not set this up yet for this particular database, is right here in this field, the email field, it will put in today's date. Now, why are those two dates relevant? Why are they important? They are important to me because when I come back and look at Tony Holowitz in the future, I will know a couple things. I will know the date I called, and I will know the last time I emailed people. So at this point, you might think, well, let's schedule a follow-up call. And I could do that. I could come right up here and click on call. But I got to tell you, I never use this. I don't come here. I don't use this to schedule a call. So I'm going to click cancel, and I'm going to briefly explain why I don't do that. When I call someone, I record it by a history. When I email someone, it will fill in today's date in the email field. Now, granted, it's not set up yet, but having stated that, these two fields are searchable. So, for example, I could find all the people that I have not emailed in a given amount of time, say for the last 90 days. And if a field has a date in it, I will find all those contacts. I could say, let me find all the prospects who I have not emailed in 90 days. I could also say, let me find all the prospects that I have not called in 90 days. So the reality is you can schedule things, but it's not necessary if you have a plan. If you know you're going to call all your prospects every 90 days, we can group them together with a function called groups to put them in a group so they're there to call. When you take call and record that you called them, they fall out of that group. So I don't use scheduling as often as a lot of people that use ACT do. I only use scheduling for very specific things. Like if someone said to me, hey, call me next Wednesday at 10:15 a.m. That I would schedule. But if it's somewhat random and it's not an exact time and place that I need to call them, then I don't ever schedule it. So there are some ways you can use ACT and ways you think about ACT, but these are a few examples of my approach when I'm working with a contact. Because I do things in a certain way, I can find contacts later on that are important to take an action on. And I don't always have to schedule things. So I just want to give you a rough overview of some of the things I do and the way I approach things so you had a sense of the way you could use ACT. And hopefully this will get you thinking about some ideas and things that you would like to do in the future. My name is Tony Holowitz. Thank you very much. Have a great day, and don't hesitate to reach out to me if you have any questions. Thank you. Bye now.